Thank you, PJ, for your kind and humorous welcome. And good evening to everyone. Thank you all for being here. It really is very much a gift for me to be able to be here in Santa Fe and bringing some of my work home. And I want to especially thank Sister Patricia Jean, PJ, who just spoke, because it was her idea that this might be able to take place. And she's been very calm and helpful in all the planning and coordination work. And I'd like to thank the chapel, the people at the chapel, Maggie Anderson and Richard Lindsay, and Grant, who's out there tonight, for their generous welcome. It's very kind of them to allow us to perform here at the chapel. And I'd also like to thank a few individuals, Randy Levy, Barbara Stanislavski, Jim Mashfair, Joe West, for their help, and my sister Peg and her husband Paul for their help, so that we could all gather here tonight. And you've had an introduction to the musicians, so I won't repeat what PJ said, but I'll just add a few notes. Carl was the first musician I ever performed with when I was living here in New Mexico at the Ribera Outdoor Sculpture Show. And then in '93, when I left Santa Fe to go up to Quebec, my second home, he performed with me for the departure ceremony ritual evening of 3 hours, a very long time. And so I'm very happy to be working with Carl again. And of course, David is here from Montreal. David is the producer of my CD, Black Grace, which is for sale outside at the entrance. And he's the composer of all the music on the CD, the composer of the music for this evening. And as PJ mentioned, also will play flute and guitar. So I'm very grateful to David and the powers that be that he made it down from Montreal. This evening is a benefit for the Sisters of Loretto, definitely Western women, and as a Western woman, I'm always proud of Western women. Pioneering women, like my aunt, Sister Cecile, admirable models who have educated and supported generations of women in the West, including myself. I'm happy to witness this heritage of Loretto womanhood that has given many of us a nourishment for lifelong passionate learning, but more importantly, perhaps, support, respect, and recognition in speaking our own truths. In Sister Patricia Jean's book, you can read about how the Sisters of Loretto built this chapel, or had it built in the 19th century, and how they founded their first schools, the first schools for girls in New Mexico and Colorado. During the family trip to New Mexico, where I first fell in love with the land and people of New Mexico, we naturally visited the Loretto Chapel and met many of the sisters. It was the 50s, I was 10, but still I was very, very struck by the socially engaged energy of the sisters and by their effectiveness in the work that they did here in New Mexico. And from that time too, the light and beauty of the chapel has stayed in my imagination. So as I come full circle tonight, I'm especially aware of the miracle of the exquisite spiral staircase and the symbol of the spiral itself, a symbol that we find in the petroglyphs all over the Southwest. Yes, we know. We do have a problem with sound in the chapel because my voice needs to be amplified. So the closer you are to the front, the more you'll hear the articulation of my words. But unfortunately, I have a voice that doesn't project very well, and we have to amplify it. And this is a building that echoes.
Squeeze together, get warm.
Yeah, it'll be warmer that way too. So as I come full circle this evening, I'm especially aware of the miracle of the exquisite staircase that holds itself up, and the symbol of the spiral itself that I mentioned that we have among the petroglyphs here in the southwest in the land on the rocks. The symbol of the spiral is a symbol of continuity, the Hopi tell us, expanding from a single point, an original point, and allowing all times to exist together. So in that sense, for me tonight, it's better than a circle. We have many times coming together here. At the book room in '93, when Carl and I performed, we closed the evening with a song by Pauline Julien, who is a Quebec singer-songwriter performer. And the song was "C'est par l'amour qu'on change l'histoire." It's by love that we change history. It was then a very different history. It was still the 20th century. At Recursos, we had a lively conference entitled "The New Fin de Siècle," the writers in the 90s. It was before the genocides took over in Rwanda, before 9/11, before the tsunami, and the shift of the Earth's axis. Indeed, it was literally a different world, a different planet. And as I sounded out in my studio what I might say to you tonight after such catastrophes and change, it was two songs by Mercedes Sosa, the wonderful Argentinian, that came to me and imposed themselves as part of what I must bring with my poems. So with the help of an Argentinian friend and a Chilean friend, I have learned them for you in Spanish. One I will recite, the one by Julia Neumhauser I will recite, and I hope if my juniper allergy does not interfere too much at the end of the evening, I will be able to sing the poem by Violeta Parra, the Chilean, like Mercedes, who was so committed to the meaning of her land and the traditions of her people. These song poems have been particularly moving as they accompanied me in my preparation for tonight, for their images and their wisdom, of course, but especially because they were often songs sung in exile by Mercedes Sosa to her beloved Argentinians. And they really became, in the culture, songs that continually renewed the connection to her land and her people. So I am honored and humbled to join with the words of these three wonderful women and to their spirit as women of the Americas, as I renew a time with you tonight here with my poems and the music. Many of my own poems that I've chosen for tonight celebrate the earth, which is not an abstract concept, as you know. So the stories I offer you are from the geographies I know best, La Tierra Bendita here in the southwest, and Quebec, the great north. I offer them with the thought that despite the differences of deserts and mountains, seaways and shores, somewhere in the depth of our imagination, the earth, the planet, is now and must be our common geography. A common place, hopefully, often a place of tenderness for what we, bodies on this earth, live out. So as we move towards the poems, I'd like to dedicate this evening first to the women of the Americas, North, South, and Central, including the women of the Sisters of Loretto, who have so long been committed to Western communities, and also to the Native, Hispanic, Anglo, and immigrant women who, like Sosa and Parra, sustain their people and their people's traditions. And because this is a special return home for my work and myself, I'd like to add to that dedication the American people, whose resilience I believe in. For our strength, compassion, and solidarity, in hopes that with the changes in the world being made now, we can still create a human time. So we'll begin with a hope that I had when I was still living here in Santa Fe. New Year's, Monday, I'll stay. The song says, should I stay or should I go? I'll stay. For the sage, for the snow, for the imperceptible fall of limpid green light on peaked shrouds of forest. For that bright frosted purple stripe softening the cold, wide slope. For high altitude and for the pinion below, above the twilight of town. And for that lake, vulva of blue flesh, beneath the broad back of the dry, red, freckled bone of land. I'll stay for the deer dancers in the hill, for the buffalo's step, silent, an eighth of a beat above the sound, above the ground of the drums, vigorous, ringing, exact. For the strength, for the grace, I'll stay. For the morning raven calls, for the eagle's watch, for the hawk children in the plaza, for the deer calling, for the breath and brush of forest in the dance. I'll stay for the sage, for the snow, for the heart child, dear child, earth child, and me. I'll stay for the basalt in the sage on the bone and the sandstone in snow, and that same limpid green of the northern lights. I needn't go. Todo cambia. The next poem is in Spanish, but to sum up in English, the poet tells us that everything changes. Ways of thinking change, the climate, the pasture for the herd, the shine of diamonds and candles as they pass from hand to hand, and the journeyman's direction, even when it's painful. Everything changes. So if you and I change, it's not so strange. But no matter how far away, there's no change in my love for my city, for my people. Cambia lo superficial, cambia también lo profundo, cambia el modo de pensar. Cambia todo en este mundo. Cambia el clima con los años, cambia el pastor, su rebaño, y así como todo cambia, que yo cambie no es extraño. De mano en mano su brillo, cambia el nido, el pajarillo, cambia el sentir un amante, cambia el rumbo, el caminante, aunque esto le causa daño, y así como todo cambia, que tú cambies no es extraño. cambia el sol en su carrera cuando la noche subsista. Cambia la planta y se vista de verde en la primavera. Cambia el pelaje la fiera, cambia el cabello el anciano, y así como todo cambia, que yo cambio, que tú cambies, no es extraño. Pero no cambia mi amor, por más lejos que me encuentre, ni el recuerdo ni el dolor de mi pueblo, de mi gente. Y lo que cambió ayer tendrá que cambiar mañana, y así como cambio yo en esta tierra lejana. So with many changes behind us, we'll move on to some poems from La Tierra Lejana, the faraway land of Quebec, and my migratory life, because it's been back and forth. An urban life, urban tones, wintry tones, and yes, the river is in these poems as well. And there's also a poem in homage to a poet friend who died too young. That's the call I hear when I'm up in the north. Migration. There are the mountain streams, San Francisco Bay, the St. Lawrence River, and the sea. How shall we navigate these waters of this earth among the fear, the distress of the young, the sheer peace of the deer, the loss of country and friend, the core joy of the body, the exuberant flesh of the child, roadkills, and the keen beauty of aliveness. Carefully and with song, for these are the shores of tenderness. Another refuge? Oh, it's an industrial base. On waking in the city, dark, dense, the lay of the land is not clear. My stride, alive, almost beastly, beautiful, is confined within this weary frame. My breath cut short, palping the air for sky, diminished, light, perhaps resonant, or somewhere the limbered mass of the St. Lawrence, lapping, fashioning ice flows, or rising. Outside, in the fractured air, no tide drifts. Walls harbor harsh grays, dense, alive, dark. I rise. Cold, bright, white. Snow is its own geography. Asphalt surfaces wear, bind, and square the absent earth. Nomad. In each dream, dream after dream, the bag, soft, accompanies me, carrying important things, small, found somewhere in the dream, retrieved from closets, dusky but bright, where I see it. Hoisted up, gaping, broken staircases, over scaffoldings, gathered into Victorian offices, darkish but lived in and peopled, where I squat, hopeful, rummaging through the bag, soft and crumpled, for poetry to submit to walls and clay sculptures that fit. Out of the urban environment. Valpolicella. I came home and you were there, quickening the kind traces of your love to rest in me each time I left on that jet plane. This time in Verona, so much further away, the kind trace of you stays through the multiple cafes and the wine rows. Each time, the kind trace of you lingering in the full flavor of the Valpolicella, our mountain embrace, the light touch, at the heart of the piece. Before I take the jet plane, said it was migration, you see. Winter, leaves suspended, trees, warm, repeated motion in the silk of snow. Birch rose, parchment, still stone, satin beach, white pine, Cisco, blind in the sun. Diaphanous. The geese, your poem, the wind, the body, phrasing, a sharp earth hunger, rhyming with the slow molting magma, quickening. Your hunger quickened at its source and now sprung into the pattern and chaos of things. Intoned on that formless scale, here I walk among stone and concrete, listening, grasping the long waves on the tuning fork of death, where your life sounds. I know now Kabir's great sound. It is light, like a flute, wider than the songs we make. A far membrane of music. I hear it, vibrant, encompassing, cellular, memories, living. Your elegant heart-holding flame in the cave. Your words, wrought iron, our words, black, alive, éphémère. Oh my God. I walk the air and the light-sounding silence between us. I promised to go on my bed. I told you, as you lay dying, I would, rigorous, supple, stay with the work of words and clay. O éphémère, how weightless this mass we are, seemingly inconsequential. This fragile coherence, I know. Still, what are our lives worth? Well wrought, rendered, then rent from the crust of our days. Only love, this euphony in B flat, adagio cantabile, allegro vivace, encore, magma, presto agitato, the geese, your poem, the wind, the wind. change the energy a little bit here. The snow geese migrate along the shores of the St. Lawrence River, le fleuve Saint-Laurent. It's le fleuve Saint-Laurent that gives dream and space to the bond that Quebecers have with their land. The Mi'kmaq First Nations people gave Quebec City its name as the place where the river narrows to 1 kilometer wide. We're headed there. Along Boulevard Champlain, the packed ice was the color of water, pale, green under the bridge. Further on, open water, patches, blue, deeper than the sky. High tide, the bells rang, the cannon sang, red syncopations as the ferry sailed me home through ice, sky, tide. This is serious water. Le fleuve, chunks of ice flows, glaciers at low tide, marooned among limpid turquoise sandscapes, gray peak stretches of shore, northern hues and sounds, the crunch of coals underfoot, the débâcle of rupturing the frigid shore, grainy snow melting into maple sap. When I say fleuve, the power of tides rises and wanes. Space takes on breath. When I say mountain, here, the light is in the leaf of grass, density in the paintbrush-covered slope, cell-like sounds in the eyes of the aspen. Tree, here is the length of memory. A 10-minute break, 15-minute break, 10-minute break. And then we'll come back with more. How a tall white flower at dusk how a tall white flower at dusk has the same gaze. How a tall white flower at dusk has the same gaze. As a doe. How a tall white flower at dusk has the same gaze as a doe. Who drinks? A doe who drinks. How a tall white flower at dusk has the same gaze as a doe who drinks. Home. Thanks to the Pueblo people, my life in the Southwest has a ritual relationship with the land through the dances. And thanks to Southwestern archaeology, having done lots of archaeological illustration in the Anasazi ruins, there's a scientific relationship as well. But spending time in Anasazi sites, one can't help but be aware not only of the ancient ones, but of the bond we have with the sentient living earth. And one day at Segovia, observing soft mounds giving evidence of ruins underneath, I reflected on our scientific culture's propensity for investigation and intervention. It gives one pause at times if we see not only the inhabitants, but the land itself as living. Archaeology. What do we do when we unearth something? A sight, an insight? Do we take away the earth from ourselves? What do we do when we unearth shards and dirt, pebbles and stones, bones? Clear away something with the brush and sand from the apparent wall. When we dig into the mounds and depressions carefully to find pots and tools and fecal matter, what do we do when we screen and shake the earth, dismiss the brush, or drive the fox from its earth? Are we unearthly, as at certain hours when we must see the wall, the bone, is it to be earthly? Do we know? Is there really an earthly hour, a human time? Occupation, sacred. 3 tiny, finite creatures under the porch. A torn nest, so small I couldn't tell whether they were birds or bats. 2 are dead, dry, whole, yellow-beaked. I heard a tiny squeak later as I sat on the steps just above them. Then, on all fours, poking into the dusty room, looking at the one, saw the minute striving for air in the other. The third one next to him seemed smaller and drier than the first. I wrapped the dead with the tatters of nest in newspaper to burn and bless the barely living one. I lifted into a bag and took across the road where at the foot of a tree next to a wild pink rose, I laid him, her, the fine struggling remnant of a life. Not knowing if this was a good spot for a bird or a bat to resuscitate, but surely a fresh, lovely one to rest. It's a fine, pure day. Cisco and I sit absorbed. Storms, coyote scat, bear tracks, glistening meadow, wild orchids under leaves, something big in the willows. Rain again, pattering. Cisco, so tired he snores. Still stone, black grace of night sky, peaks, pine, the cold grip of stream. This morning, the little bird bat is dead among the wild rose, strawberry plants, and pine. Not shriveled really, but drier, tinier, weightless, sinking into the undergrowth, its little body slipping more than quietly away, where she sprinkles pine needles and dust. At the end of the day, as the dew cools the forest floor, exhausted or not, you will want to see the elk. It is close to dusk. Still, I have surprised them, so many of them. A herd, mild, gentle, trailing through the trees, moving so silently with me, I with them. So quiet, hoof and foot softening the trail, trailing through the trees, mild, gentle, a herd of them. Breathing in breathless space, so quiet, they nod, straggle, gather. Having lived along with them, I too am still as I move, as we move, close to the quiet of dusk, approaching the edge of the meadow. Still, they startle and immerse the swollen instant with their flight, soundless. The pungent stink of their fear usurps the place of hide and hoof. Scattered now, invisible in the willows, they stand, absolute, elk.
Juniper's getting me.
Far over land and sea and swells, we love the children in the sheer daily force and delight of their presence. Inexplicable, imponderable, immeasurable. What is it about the voices of those we love that makes them song? Is it ourselves that sound beyond the child's complaint? Or with the lilt of the toy's story, that meld the grandmother's tone with the toast and jelly? Is it ourselves that float and unravel the caress that rings in the sound of voices of those we love? What is it about the sound of voices of those we love? How do they ring and carry song, thoughtful knowing, and response? Cratered peaks, thunder, blue lake jeweled, lightning showers, the pine steeped in sun, flourishing glacier springs after a steady climb. Rocks fall, bristling brush, below timberline, the mother's sure hand, lithe limbs ride the stallion, a buckskin pinto. The father's sure hand casts, quick the first trout, clean, thumb steady under gills, the brisk blade disclosing, roe, scales, sparkling water rainbows. The six sisters, their children, we love the Bowen River, spring runoff, deep holes swarming, their first worms on hooks on the bridge, the elk at twilight, enchiladas for supper, brook trout for breakfast, slithering first, crisp soon. Hands gathering branches, lighting kindling, wood, the cabin we loved, empty now, timber, our voices, mingling song, the meadowed valley, flush with streams, the firmament. Moonrise. The land, vast and solid, was very light, transparent, and we, seated around the fire, ring, around the stones, simple, smooth, peaked, complete. We were. Clearly, I saw us in the lightless dusk. Light. Seated around the fire, stones. By the high sunflowers naturally alight, in the breeze with the great sky, the snapping of wings, the lilting distance, coyotes' tremblings, breath. Immense. Seated around the fire, all solid flesh and moon. I wanted to join a Quebec voice to this evening's program, and one of my friends, Catherine Fortin, who's a wonderful poet, was happy to accept. As well as being a published poet, Catherine is a biologist who does botanical interpretation for archaeologists in Quebec, so even way up there I share that archaeological connection. I'll read first her original poem. It's a short poem in French, and it'll be followed by my translation of her poem. And then we'll move into the next, the last few poems of the evening. Vestiges. Qu'est-il advenu de la lumière du commencement? En quelle matière est-elle métamorphosée? Lirons-nous sur la face dévastée de la terre, les passages clairs obscurs de l'histoire perdue, et ce qui, sous la croûte terrestre, s'écrit encore avec la violence des volcans? Comment entendre ce qui s'épuise en vains mots, en vaines douleurs? Pourtant, nous sommes attentifs aux formes insolites du paysage, aux vestiges tangibles, alignement de pierres sous les quatre temps, à grès vétuste, menus objets rouillés. Intangibles. What has become of the first light? What matter carries its metamorphosis? Will we read on the devastated face of the earth the lights and shadows of our lost history? Or what is under the earth's crust, still being written with the violence of volcanoes? How can we hear the labor in the leavings of exhausted words, unknown pain? Oddly though, we are attentive to striking shapes in the landscape, tangible ruins, stones aligned under bunchberries, weathered riggings, small rusted objects. love song for what we are losing. Sing the shattered hoping, the shattered having, the shattered honing of lives. Sing for the cratered desert, chant with the thunder of tides. Grieve for the oil on ocean. Hum with the lapping receding tides. Sing for the breath in our bodies. Hum for the breathless bodies. Stroke a child's hands playfully, tussle her hair, gladden to the laughter of friends, chant for the laboring of love, muscles that move, bricks that stay put, kind eyes, telling. Weep for husbands with scattered limbs, wail for masses in disheveled homes, soothe the wives with blinded eyes, ache for the children, they have been bombed. Weep, don't reel, swing, sway, rock, softly, sing for sorrow, hum, thoughtfully, for the humiliation, hum. Sing for the vanishing tenderness of our lives, chant, love, dance for its return. Grieve our lost, easy, unknowing days, hum, for now we know, hum to our grief in knowing, chant our horror at knowing, hum, for now we know, there is no more America. No hay más América. Est-ce qu'il n'y a plus d'Amérique? Chant for our disbelieving, even though we know. Pray against our disbelieving, even though we know. Chant for our loneliness in knowing again. Speak for the vanishing tenderness of our lives. Praise, dance, sing for its return. Sigh to the daily touch of a lover's skin. Love, don't languish. Stand, bow to the thunder of tides. Hope for the eruption of spring. Fall with veils of sky and sweeping rain. Dance, ferocious. Rejoice for a time you did not fear. Sing for a time you will not fear. Halt the waging of war. Check the torturing of souls. Praise the tender men. Exalt in boisterous women. Chant Laudemus for hopeful children. Chant love for strong minds, hope for outrage. Stand, stilled, knead red clay and summer sands, stir to the purple-throated sage, whisper with wildly woven moss, hear the sky spreading itself thick with stars, wrapped. Dance with the falcons and merciful rain, hum with Venus setting at dusk. Chant for a time we will not fear. Sing together in the light fabric of day. Step gently, heed the lapping receding tides. Don't sway, glide, step, turn, soothe, stand with orchids in the wind. Pero no cambia mi amor por más lejos que me encuentre, ni el recuerdo ni el dolor de mi pueblo, de mi gente. Si je disais toutes ces années. What can I say from so far away? That my dad died and my favorite aunt, and good friends too, here and there. If I spoke, what words could touch the silence, the leaving of those we love? Si je parlais des catastrophes, de cette haine, would I speak of the catastrophes, that hate? Si je disais, if I spoke of 9/11, echoing still, would I speak of the fear so widespread? What could I tell you? Only that the horror silenced me, and your words flowed. Si je disais, it's comforting that the dances go on in the pueblos with the silence of the land that soothes and celebrates. Si je disais, je dirais que je t'aime, je dirais Dios mío, je dirais mi corazón, je dirais je vous aime. I'd say, oh my God, oh my heart, I'd say, I love you. And you tell me of the deep unease among so many now, then later speak of your garden's new joy. Together we'd say how we grasp at hope and dare to sing to stay alive. We'd laugh aloud at the wise risks we've taken, louder still at those not so wise. Hope, yes, we say, a monde meilleur, a better world. And what is it exactly that we grasp for? Peace, paix, pace, Dio mio, pace. Oh, now then, look at your son, he's taller than you. And yes, I'm proud my nieces are so successful. What I'd want to tell you is the joy, full some days, that we've lived a long time together and apart, that this is good, that we are lucky, that I love my people, pero no cambia mi amor. Together we'd say, what of the world gone to hell in a handbasket? We want hope for the children's children. Then you tell me, you don't know if we can believe anymore. I say it matters that we do, but I know what you mean. What can we say, knowing everything has changed? Si je disais, I would say, je dirais que je vous aime. I'd say I love you. Je dirais Dios mío. Je dirais mi corazón. Oh, my heart. I'd say, gracias a la vida. My attempt to sing in a minute, and first I'll read a quick translation of the song, and then the Spanish song by Violeta Parra. It'll be fun. I'm not a singer, but it'll be fun. So gracias a la vida for my eyes that open on wonder and know the man I love. Thanks to life that has given me sound and the alphabet, words, and the dawning light, walking, and my tired feet, with their many paths leading often to your patios. Thanks to life for a heart that holds its beat, and the wondrous work of people, of very good people, far from evil. Thanks to life for the wondrous depth in your eyes, for joy and pain, the matter for my song, that is your song, that is everyone's song, that is one song.
Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto, me ha dado el sonido y a mi escenario con las palabras que pienso y declaro, madre, amigo, hermana, y luz alumbrando la ruta del alma del que estoy amando. Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto, me ha dado una marcha y mis pies cansados, con ellos anduve ciudades y charcos, playas y desiertos, montañas y llanos, y la casa tuya, y calle y tu patio. Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto, me dio el corazón que agita su marco. Cuando miro el fruto del cerebro humano, cuando miro el bueno, tan lejos del malo, cuando miro el fondo de sus ojos claros. Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto, me ha dado la risa y me ha dado el llanto. Así yo distingo dicha de quebranto, los dos materiales que forman mi canto y el canto de ustedes, que es el mismo canto, y el canto de todos, que es mi propio canto. Gracias a la vida, gracias a Dios.
I want to thank David and Carl for their wonderful, wonderful, wonderful music, their wonderful collaboration. I'm so lucky to have them playing. So please thank them again.